December 19th, 1944. The snow is falling so hard it smothers sound itself. In the frozen forests of the Ardennes, the town of Bastogne, a crossroads no one planned to die for, has become a trap. German armor closes in from every direction. Panthers, tigers, artillery pounding day and night. And inside the shrinking ring of fire, nearly 10,000 American soldiers of the 101st Airborne are cut off from the world. No air support.
No reinforcements. No escape.
The weather has sealed their fate, or so it seems. Low clouds, blizzards, ice on rifle bolts, wounded men stacked in frozen cellars, surgeons operating without morphine, without light, ammunition rationed to single shots, medics tearing uniforms into bandages. A paratrooper writes in his diary with numb fingers, "If they attack tomorrow, we may not stop them." German loudspeakers crackle through the snow, demanding surrender. The answer will come later. But tonight, Bastogne bleeds. 400 miles away, yet somehow closer than ever, Supreme Allied Commander Dwight D. Eisenhower stands over a massive map in a drafty headquarters. The Ardennes Bulge glares back at him like a wound. Red pins push deep into Allied lines. Bastogne sits in the center. Encircled. An aide breaks the silence. "Sir, how long can they hold?" Eisenhower doesn't answer immediately. He rubs his eyes. He hasn't slept. The weight of Europe presses on his shoulders, political, moral, historical. Lose Bastogne, and the German advance could split the Allied front in two. Supply lines collapse. Momentum dies. The war drags on into 1946. Or worse. Another general speaks carefully. With this weather, no airdrops. Roads are iced. Enemy armor everywhere. Relief may be impossible. Impossible. Eisenhower exhales slowly. In his private notes, he writes words he will never say out loud. If Bastogne falls, history will not forgive us. He leans closer to the map. His finger traces one arrow, south to north. A long, dangerous route through snow-choked roads and enemy-held villages. Only one man is positioned to even attempt it. George S. Patton. Brilliant. Aggressive. Infuriating. A general who ignores rules the way others ignore speed limits. A man already warned, more than once, that his recklessness could cost him everything. Eisenhower knows the risk. Asking Patton to move means chaos. Broken protocols. A gamble that could unravel the Allied command structure. But doing nothing means watching 10,000 Americans freeze, bleed, and die. A clock ticks loudly in the room. 4 days. That's all the 101st may have left. Eisenhower straightens, jaw tightening. He whispers, almost a prayer. "America is counting on you. Don't let me down." Outside, the storm howls. Inside Bastogne, rifles are checked again. Inside Eisenhower's mind, one forbidden name echoes louder than the artillery. Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force.
Verdun, France.
December 19th, 1944. The room is quiet in the way only war rooms ever are. Not peaceful. Heavy. Maps cover the table, edges curling from constant use. Red and blue pins stab into the Ardennes like open wounds. Reports arrive every few minutes. Muddy boots, frozen faces, whispered updates. Outside the windows, snow drifts down in thick, relentless sheets, sealing roads and erasing certainty. At the center of the room stands Dwight D. Eisenhower. He doesn't sit. He leans forward, hands pressed against the map, eyes fixed on one name circled in red. Bastogne. An aide clears his throat. "Sir, the 101st is completely surrounded. German armor confirmed on all approaches." Eisenhower nods once. He already knows. What he needs now is time. And time is exactly what they don't have. He straightens and looks around the table. Bradley, Montgomery's representatives, senior staff officers. Faces lined with fatigue. Minds racing through numbers, distances, and realities they don't like. Eisenhower speaks quietly. "How quickly can we mount a relief operation?" No one answers immediately. A general finally breaks the silence, tapping a ruler against the map. "Sir, the northern units are engaged. They can't disengage and pivot south without exposing the line. Another adds, more cautiously, the southern forces. Patton's Third Army could move, but the roads are frozen. Supply lines are stretched. Realistically. He hesitates. Eisenhower looks up. Go on. At least a week. Maybe longer. The words land like artillery. Eisenhower's jaw tightens. We don't have a week, he says flatly. 4 days. 4 days is all they have. The room shifts. Chairs creak. Officers exchange glances. 4 days might as well be 4 minutes. Another voice rises, firm but uneasy. To move any significant force in this weather, pivoting divisions, rerouting fuel ammunition, it's not just difficult, sir. It's nearly impossible. Nearly. Eisenhower turns back to the map, eyes tracing the southern approach. His thoughts race. If Bastogne falls, the Germans control the road network. The Ardennes offensive gains momentum.
Allied morale shatters.
Thousands of men, good men, are lost, not because they fought poorly, but because help never came. Then Eisenhower speaks a name the room has been waiting for. General Patton. All eyes turn. George S. Patton stands with his hands clasped behind his back, helmet tucked under one arm. Calm. Almost relaxed. As if he's been waiting for this moment. Yes, sir, Patton says. Eisenhower studies him. Can you turn your army north? Patton doesn't blink. I already have. A ripple moves through the room. Whispered disbelief. Heads turn. Patton steps forward, pointing to the map. I can pivot 3 divisions, 4th Armored, 26th Infantry, 80th Infantry. We move through Luxembourg, push north, and break the encirclement. A general interrupts, incredulous. That's over 100 miles. In this weather. Patton nods. 48 to 72 hours. Silence. Eisenhower exhales slowly. George, can you genuinely do this? Patton meets his eyes.
No bravado.
Just certainty. I've had contingency plans prepared since December 15th. If the Germans broke through, this was always the answer. He taps the map. December 22nd. 4th Armored attacks north toward Bastogne. Someone mutters under their breath, he's mad. Eisenhower hears it. So does Patton. Eisenhower's voice hardens. If this fails, we lose the 101st. We lose Bastogne. And the consequences, for this war and for you, will be severe. Patton nods once. I understand the risk, sir. He pauses. But I also understand opportunity. The enemy doesn't think we can move this fast. That's exactly why we must. The clock on the wall ticks louder now. December 19th. Decision Day. December 22nd. Planned attack. Between them, snow, ice, exhaustion, and an army asked to do the impossible. Eisenhower looks down at the map one last time. He feels the weight of command press into his chest. Thousands of lives balanced on one decision. Trust the rules, or trust the man who breaks them. Finally, he straightens. Very well, George. You'll go north. Patton snaps to attention. Yes, sir. As the meeting breaks, snow continues to fall outside. Orders are typed. Radios crackle to life. Engines will soon turn over in the dark. The countdown has begun. December 20th. 1944. Before dawn, the engines start. Across the frozen roads of France and Luxembourg, Patton's Third Army begins something no staff college ever taught, a 90-degree pivot in the middle of a major battle, under blizzard conditions, against a determined enemy. Columns turn north. Tanks grind forward, treads screaming against ice. Trucks fishtail. Artillery crews push by hand when engines fail. Infantry marches with heads down, breath turning instantly to frost. Snow clogs carburetors. Fuel freezes. Roads vanish beneath white sheets. But the army moves. Patton rides forward command posts relentlessly. Keep them moving, he snaps. Every hour matters. Because every hour does. Bastogne, December 20th. Inside the encirclement, The 101st Airborne fights like men already written off. Ammunition is counted by the magazine. Wounded soldiers shiver under blankets stiff with ice. Surgeons amputate by lantern light. German artillery hammers the town. Houses collapse. Cellars shake. A paratrooper whispers, "Where the hell is Patton?" No one answers. Supreme Headquarters, December 20th. Eisenhower receives the first reports. Third Army disengaged. Initial movement successful. Heavy snow slowing progress. He marks the map with a pencil. 1 mile. 2. Not enough. In his private notes, he writes, "If they fail, 10,000 paratroopers are lost, and the Ardennes campaign may collapse." He folds the paper, unreadable to anyone else. December 21st. German resistance stiffens. Patton's lead elements slam into roadblocks and ambushes. Anti-tank guns hidden behind snowbanks open fire. Trees explode into splinters. Engineers crawl forward under fire, clearing mines with frozen fingers. A tank crewman yells, "She won't start." Another answers, "Already pushing." Then we push. They do. Progress is measured in miles won by blood. Hourly updates reach Eisenhower. Delayed by enemy armor. Advance continuing. Weather worsening. He checks the clock. 4 days are almost gone. Bastogne, December 21st. German envoys approach under white flags. Their demand is formal, polite, confident. The American response is one word: nuts. When Brigadier General Anthony McAuliffe delivers it, laughter spreads through the foxholes, not because it's funny, but because it's defiant. Because surrender is no longer an option. But defiance doesn't stop shells. A medic mutters, "We can't last much longer." December 22nd. The day Patton promised. Before dawn, 4th Armored Division attacks north. The assault is brutal. German infantry digs in hard. Panthers counterattack. Snow hides enemy positions until they open fire. Patton radios Eisenhower, "We're attacking on schedule." Eisenhower closes his eyes for a second. Relief mixes with dread. Attacking doesn't mean breaking through. By nightfall, gains are real, but small. Not enough. December 23rd. The sky finally breaks. Clouds lift just enough.
Planes roar overhead.
Supply drops fall into Bastogne, some landing in German hands, many in American. It's not a solution, but it's hope. Eisenhower watches weather reports like a gambler watching cards. Patton pushes harder. Men march without sleep. Units fight through villages whose names they'll never remember. Casualties mount. But the arrow on the map keeps moving. Staff officers whisper, "He's actually doing it." December 24th. Christmas Eve. Snow falls again. German counterattacks slow the advance. Roads clog with wreckage. Fuel runs dangerously low. Some units advance on fumes and faith. Eisenhower paces his office late into the night. He writes letters he hopes he won't send. He stares at the map until Bastogne feels like a living thing calling out. 4 days, he thinks. 4 days was all they had. December 25th. Christmas Day. In Bastogne, there are no carols. Only explosions. The wounded pray. The uninjured keep firing. Patton's spearhead is close now. So close they can hear the guns from Bastogne. A message arrives at Eisenhower's desk. Lead elements within miles. He grips the edge of the table. Not yet. The night stretches on. Snow. Fire. Exhaustion. December 26th is coming. The final hours. Will Patton break through in time? Will 10,000 surrounded Americans live, or be erased from history? The impossible march is nearing its climax. December 26th, 1944. Late afternoon. The snow hasn't stopped. It never does. Patton's lead elements grind forward through a white blur, engines roaring, men barely upright from exhaustion. Faces are hollow. Eyes red. Hands cracked and bleeding from days of cold steel and frozen weapons. They are close now. Ahead, German positions dug deep into hedgerows and road junctions. Anti-tank guns fire from concealed snowbanks. Artillery thunders, shaking the frozen earth. Trees explode. Smoke mixes with falling snow until the battlefield disappears into chaos. A tank commander leans out of his hatch, shouting through the wind. "Keep moving. Don't stop." They don't. Infantry surges forward behind rolling artillery. Engineers clear obstacles under fire. One last village. One last ridge. Then, suddenly, the resistance breaks. German fire slackens. A road opens. A narrow corridor. But it's enough. Bastogne, inside the perimeter. The sound reaches them first. Not German artillery. Not incoming shells. American engines. A paratrooper freezes mid-motion. Do you hear that? Another stares through binoculars, heart pounding. Tanks. White stars on frozen steel. Someone yells, voice cracking. "They're ours." Men rise from foxholes they've lived in for days. Weapons still ready, but hands trembling now, not from cold, but from disbelief. A Sherman tank crests the road. Infantry spills out behind it, moving cautiously, eyes wide at the sight of the battered defenders. The first words exchanged are simple. 101st. Third Army. That's all it takes. Hands shake. Men embrace. Some laugh. Some cry openly. Others just sit down in the snow, suddenly unable to stand. After days of encirclement, Bastogne is no longer alone. 4:50 p.m., Supreme Headquarters. The phone rings. Eisenhower's aide answers, listens, then turns slowly. "Sir, it's General Patton." Eisenhower takes the receiver. For a moment, there is only static. Then Patton's voice, gruff, steady. "Ike. We're through to Bastogne." Eisenhower doesn't speak. His shoulders sag slightly, as if a physical weight has been lifted. His hand tightens on the phone. His eyes close. When he finally answers, his voice is quiet. "Thank God." Around him, the room exhales. Staff officers exchange looks of stunned relief. Someone whispers, "He actually did it." Patton continues, businesslike as ever. 4th Armored made contact this afternoon. Corridors open. We'll widen it. Eisenhower nods, even though Patton can't see him. "You saved them, George." A pause. Patton replies, softer now. "Just doing my job, Ike. The men did the real work." Eisenhower swallows. Emotion presses hard against discipline. "No, George," he says. "You moved an army 90 degrees in a blizzard. You saved 10,000 lives. That's why you're invaluable." The line goes quiet. When Eisenhower hangs up, he remains standing, staring at the map. Bastogne is no longer circled in red. The arrow has reached it. For the first time in days, he allows himself to breathe. Bastogne, evening. The corridor is narrow and dangerous, but it's real. Medics rush forward with supplies. Ammunition crates are unloaded by hand. Hot food, actual hot food, changes hands. Wounded men are carried out, some saluting weakly as they pass the tanks. A paratrooper grins through cracked lips. Patton finally showed up. Another answers quietly, "Yeah, and he didn't forget us." Patton arrives briefly, surveying the scene with a practiced eye. He nods once, satisfied, not with himself, but with what his men have done. "Hell of a job holding," he tells the 101st officers. "Hell of a job getting here," one of them replies. Mutual respect.
No speeches. No theatrics.
Just soldiers acknowledging survival. Strategic turning point. The relief of Bastogne changes everything. The German advance stalls. The momentum of the Ardennes offensive breaks. What was meant to split the Allied front now bleeds strength instead. 3 divisions. 100 miles. In winter. Against the clock. What military doctrine called impossible became reality through audacity, preparation, and relentless pressure. Publicly, Eisenhower issues formal praise. Official language. Measured words. Privately, he writes something different. Patton has saved not just Bastogne, but the Ardennes campaign itself. Supreme Headquarters, late night. Eisenhower sits alone. The room is quiet now. Maps remain on the table, but the tension has drained from them. Snow still falls outside, but it no longer feels like a sentence. He removes his glasses and rubs his eyes.
Pride.
Relief, gratitude, and understanding. What he has witnessed is not recklessness, but controlled brilliance. Leadership willing to risk everything to save men already written off. He looks once more at the map. Then he turns off the light. December 27th, 1944. The guns are quieter now. In a dimly lit office, Dwight D. Eisenhower sits alone. The map of the Ardennes still lies open on his desk, but Bastogne no longer bleeds red. A thin pencil line marks the corridor Patton forced open, fragile, hard-won, and alive. Eisenhower removes his jacket. He exhales slowly. Only now does the exhaustion catch up. On his desk are letters. Drafts. Notes he never intended for history. He writes in his diary, the words careful, almost restrained. The relief of Bastogne has lifted a weight I can scarcely describe. Responsibility in war is measured not in orders given, but in lives preserved. He pauses. His pen hovers. Patton's name comes next. Eisenhower has always known the paradox. George S. Patton, brilliant, abrasive, impulsive, indispensable. A commander who constantly tests the limits of discipline, yet delivers results when no one else can. He writes again. Patton is difficult. He is reckless with words, relentless in action. Yet when time was our enemy, he alone had prepared for the unthinkable, and acted without hesitation. Private correspondence. Later that day, Eisenhower dictates a letter. George, your leadership, planning, and execution during the Bastogne relief were extraordinary. You moved faster, farther, and under worse conditions than doctrine allows. That success saved lives and preserved the integrity of our front. Then a second sentence, quieter in tone. Such talent carries immense responsibility. Never forget that discipline and restraint must walk beside audacity. Praise, balanced with warning. That is how Eisenhower leads. In another note, written to General George C. Marshall, Eisenhower is more candid. Patton's maneuver was a gamble. Had it failed, history would judge us harshly. But war does not reward timidity. In this moment, audacity proved decisive. To the public, the language is formal. Privately, the truth is heavier. Historical weight. The relief of Bastogne marks the turning point of the Battle of the Bulge. The German offensive loses momentum. What was meant to shatter Allied lines instead drains the last reserves of the Reich. Historians will later count the miles, the divisions, the dates. 3 divisions pivoted 90 degrees. 100 miles in winter. Under fire. Against time. But Eisenhower counts something else. 10,000 men who came home. Bastogne, days later. The winter sun breaks through low clouds. Supplies move freely now. Wounded are evacuated. Soldiers laugh, quietly at first, then louder. Tanks idle instead of charging. The town still bears scars, but it stands. A paratrooper writes home. We held. And Patton came. That is how it will be remembered by those who were there. Leadership reflections. Eisenhower sits again with his diary in early January 1945. He reflects not on tactics, but on trust. Command, he writes, is the art of knowing when to restrain extraordinary men, and when to unleash them completely. Patton forced him into that decision. And Eisenhower chose correctly. He knows now that leadership is not about perfect control. It is about judgment under uncertainty. About accepting risk when the cost of inaction is greater. And about bearing the moral weight when lives hang in the balance. Legacy. Years later in his memoirs, Eisenhower will write words shaped by that winter. Patton's relief of Bastogne vindicated my trust, demonstrated operational brilliance, and reminded me that extraordinary talent must sometimes be managed, not constrained. History will remember the victory. But Eisenhower remembers the silence before the decision. The ticking clock. The snow outside his window. And the moment he entrusted 10,000 lives to a man who refused to accept the impossible. Closing narration. Bastogne was saved by courage, by endurance, by soldiers who held the line in frozen foxholes. But it was also saved by leadership willing to take risks, by a commander who trusted a difficult subordinate, and a general who moved an army through a blizzard to prove that faith was justified. History remembers the battles. But it is the decisions, the audacity, the trust, and the human courage behind them, that define true leadership.